Hi guys, this is Creatography Live and I'm Andreas, and today we're going to be covering some sharpening. I had a few requests on some of my sharpening techniques that I use for converting images and resizing images for Facebook. So what I want to do is I want to show you three ways that you can sharpen. Now the output is still going to be the same because at the end it depends how you resize and how you save it. Now before we start, it's always good to know that make sure you've got your camera techniques spot on first, because if you're making mistakes with just the way you hold your camera or making sure you're not kicking the right focus point, sometimes you just can't get that sharpening back. So try that first. If you one of if you start realizing that some of your pictures are always out of focus, the best thing to do is print off a focus chart and set your camera on a tripod, put the focus chart on the floor and put your camera at a 45-degree angle, and just let your camera also focus on one point on that chart. Take out the card, put it in your laptop and see if it's pin sharp. If not, your camera could be back focusing or front focusing. If you need any more information on that, just leave a comment below and I'll do a small tutorial on how to test your focus in your camera and how to calibrate it as well. So anyway, let's get started. To make it fair, what I've done is I've asked a friend who's into baby photography as well, and she's part of a group, and I asked her to send me over a photo. Uh, Her company is called Holiana Photography, and this is one of her photos. And she's given us a good example here of what it looks like to have a nice sharp image. So she's done a great job. And what we're going to do is we're going to work with this. Now, as you can see, this is a JPEG. I've dragged it straight into Photoshop, and up here you'll see it's a JPEG. You still can, with Photoshop 2015.5, I believe, and above, and he may be some of the lower Photoshops, I really can't remember now. You can go into filter, you can go into camera raw filter, and it will open up that image into camera raw. So you can actually, you still won't have the same amount of control you would do as if it was a raw file, but I can still show you how I sharpen in raw itself. So let's forget any settings. We're not going to, how you want to do your images is totally up to you. So we're going to go over to the third tab over here, which says sharpening. Now normally when you sharpen, you're going to want to zoom in to 100%, because then you can actually see your sharpening effect. So from this image here, I can see this part is a lot sharper. So the left hand side here is sharper than the right. Now if you keep your finger on Alt or Command on the Mac, but I'm just going to keep saying Windows, so keep your finger on Alt key and slide the sharpening where it says amount to the right, you'll see it turns black and white. If I move it all the way to the right, you can see now how it sharpened. If I go all the way to the left, it will start to go soft. Now you want to try and find just the right amount for your liking of sharpness. So I'm looking at the child's eyebrows, the newborn's eyebrows, and that looks fine. Radius, if you push it all the way to the right, it sharpens more of the contrasty areas in the image. If you take it all the way to the left, it will just do the very minor details that it can see. So I kind of aim for like eyelashes and the iris if it's spot on. Detail, again, I'm always keeping my finger clicked on Alt, because when you keep your finger clicked on Alt, it shows you the helpers. So if I don't click Alt and I slide, you kind of like have to really struggle to see what you're doing. But if you keep your finger on the Alt key, it will go grayscale, and I can actually see. I can see right now if I move all the way to the right, it's creating a lot of noise. So I want to sort of bring it back so there's no noise. And what masking does, and I'll zoom out for this, what masking does here is large areas, so we can see out of here where it's out of focus. We don't really need that to be sharpened, and what tends to end up happening is if you do sharpen, this looks really, really noisy. So we keep my finger on Alt, keep my finger on Alt and move to the right, and you can see already that Camera Raw already knows what's really not important to be sharpened, and it's normally what it sees as being soft anyway, and doesn't have any sharp contrasting edges. So we could go to the right a bit more. I can already see that my eyes are still going to be sharp, the hair's still going to be sharp, the little rug that the child is on is going to be sharp, so I can stop there and I can press OK. So that's one method of sharpening. I'm going to copy this just to show you. Another method that I use is, it's a good old-fashioned method. You have one image here. So imagine this is your first image you've loaded up. You press Control J to copy that image. I think everyone knows what I'm going to do now. Go to Image, Adjustments, Desaturate. Then I go to Filter, Other, High Pass Filter. Pick where it is I'm meant to be sharpening. Now obviously if you go all the way to the right, it sharpens way too much. Here you go, it will look horrible. So I will pick again a point. I'll have a little look around to how I like it. So about 1.7 is okay. Now this is your judgment, but I try and explain what's good and what's not good. So if I go too far to the right and you start seeing, not detail, but you start seeing more of the image, which is not meant to be the detailed part. So here you can see, you don't really want to see the eye. You mainly want to see the high contrast points between the eyelashes. So here, and you can start seeing a bit of the hair, the eyebrows. Now, the other trick that I do when I use high pass filter, before I pick anything else in, I'll zoom in and I go back to image, adjustments, and I go to contrast. And this is just a method I've always used, a nice trick. And if you push the contrast all the way to the right, it enhances your high pass filter mask. Then if you go to soft light, and I don't know if you can see the difference in sharpness. So if you look at this area here, let's zoom in a bit more. Here we go. So look at the eyebrows, the eye. If I turn on that high pass mask, now you can see how much sharper it is. So off and then on. So that's another method. Okay, I want to copy this bottom layer again. Don't want to put it in the group. There we go. Right, so I'm going to use the bottom image again, so we're not sharpening on top of sharpening. And then we have the good old-fashioned, you've got your nice unsharp mask, which I think most people use. You can go into your unsharp mask. Let me bring my radius down. Don't know what I was doing, and it looked like that. And basically, yeah, you would just adjust this however you want. So, you know, normally you can go up to about 100. You can select your radius by how much you want it to be. And that's quite sharp in itself. So we'll do a comparison. So this is unsharp mask. Here we go. Okay. And you can't really tell that much of a difference, see, because they all sharpen quite the same. So this is unsharp mask. This is where we used high pass filter. And this is where we used raw. And you can see here, raw, it would be better than this normally, but we've just had to do it on top of a JPEG. But if it was actually a raw file, you would then come into here and then do these same sharpening techniques on top. So it would just make it a lot sharper. Now, I know a few people also asked. Oh, so actually one more thing I will tell you. In your when you use a high pass filter to do sharpening, you can actually press Ctrl J and copy, just duplicate that high pass filter, which you then sharpens your image again on top, if you can see. So we have no high pass filter on this one. Then we do, and then we've just duplicated it again. If you want to get rid of parts like the eye and you want them to be clean, there are other ways. There are quick ways. If you really wanted to, you could duplicate your bottom layer here, put it to the top, which obviously you can't see any of it. Press Alt and click your layer mask, which basically puts a layer mask here to the right of your image. And then you can, whatever you don't want to be sharp, you just brush in with a white brush. You may not want all the little areas of skin coming up, so you can just brush them away if need be. So it just smooths everything else out and you can have whatever it is you want to be your focal point. So I don't know if you can see that, see? So when it comes to saving, let me merge all these down now before I get confused. There we go. So when it comes to saving, the best way that I find to save, I'll go to image, image size, and your longest edge, so our longest edge here is width. Okay, you can either do 20, 48. Okay, make sure you have Sharpen down the bottom here, or 960. Okay, which is the smaller version. I don't know why this ratio works. It just does. And then sometimes what I do find is if I do want to go a little bit bigger, I normally go up to either 1200, and that normally comes out spot on for me. But what we do is we do a larger version so you guys can see. So we're going to do 2048. Click OK. So we let it resize. I am going to flatten all of these just for now because we don't need them anymore. And that's how sharp it looks there. So from there now, I'm going to go to Save As. And I think you guys know the other methods. And I'll call it Web at the end. Save. Everything normal, large to the right hand side, maximum 12. Do OK. And just for those that think PNG is better, I mean, it may be a fraction, maybe a fraction of a difference, but I've never noticed it to make that big a difference, especially when uploading it to Facebook. So what we do now is I'll take this and I'll share it with the group that actually wanted the tutorial. But from here, hopefully you guys know how to do a nice sharpen in 3 different methods, and there are more, but these 3 methods should get your images to the point where they're spot on. So if you found this useful, please give me a like, subscribe down below. If you have any other suggestions that you want me to do, please just write them in the comments below. And if you want me to let you know of new and other tutorials that I'm doing, just give me a shout. I think it's the little bell. And yeah, until next time, thanks for watching. Bye bye.